Now, I keep telling people the best way to consume the news is by going 4 years into the past and looking at the news, and you will see just how manipulative they are. You will see why so many people dislike journalists. And when I say journalists, I mean the multi-million-dollar corporations that hire them. So, look at this example, right? It got 1.1 million views. Here's a take from December 2020 and another take from a couple of weeks ago.
The presidential pardon was originally meant to grant the president the power to temper justice with mercy. It was not enshrined in our Constitution so that a dishonorable man could reward his criminal allies, friends, and family for their corrupt practices. I don't have a problem with Biden pardoning his son. He should have pardoned him. The crazies are coming, right? But to me, it's like, pardon more.
And she's not the only one. I mean, again, I'm reading the news from 4 years ago. And this is the normal. Like this is what you expect. In fact, when you find something that's different, it shocks you. And the thing is, she could have said it in a way that it doesn't look like this. She could have said it, you know what? I know that 4 years ago I said that the presidential pardon, blah, blah, blah. But now I've changed my mind. I mean, she could literally say that, you know, but they don't, because they want to seem authoritative. They want to seem like the experts. They want to seem to be like the people that are better than you, and they're telling you how to think. And if they were to act like normal human beings, like the type of people that you go out and you have a beer with, then that leaves room for debate. Then that leaves room for like, maybe this isn't the way, right? This is why the comment sections on all of these platforms have disabilities. Like before 2016, it was unthinkable for any social media website to not have comment sections, to not have a forum. Because it drove traffic, it drove engagement, you know, it created a community. It wasn't just MSNBC, but it was like people who would go on the forums of MSNBC and they would talk there daily, they would form friendships, they would know each other, they would interact with each other. And like that actually drove traffic, that actually created a brand, but the purpose is not to make money, the purpose is not to build community, the purpose is not to actually have a discussion. The purpose is manipulation. The purpose is to tell the public what to think, what issues they should care about, and more importantly, the issues that they shouldn't cover. Do you guys remember the Donald Trump assassination attempt? That iconic picture with the flag, which, you know, it's probably going to go on in the history books, just like all the other assassination attempts against US presidents. And the media just decided, no, we're not going to talk about this. And you'd go on almost every single forum and every single place, and they would not cover it. And when they did, they decided not to show that picture, even though it was iconic. Because this is what the mainstream media does. And it's probably not even the opinions of this lady, if you want to delve deeper. Because again, they work at a multi-million-dollar corporation. They're like soldiers. They are dictated on what to do. Like the news comes from the top and they're like, this is what you're going to talk about. This is not just a lady. You know, it creates the illusion that she's a lady talking to the camera. But in reality, she's got a team. She's got an entire team of people. People that decide how she dresses. People that do her makeup to make her presentable and authoritative. People that write the script, people that decide what the news is going to be covered, editorial that goes like, okay, this is what you're allowed to say, this is what you're not allowed to say. And there are many people who worked in the news and they come out and they say exactly this. It's like, yeah, I wasn't
The presidential
able.
pardon was originally meant.
I wasn't able to talk about what I wanted. Like, I had to talk about what they told me. And Cenk Uygur used to work on the MSNBC, and he actually comes out and he says, like, yeah, I had editors that told me not to move my hands around too much. Because it made him more relatable. It didn't make him authoritative. Like, that's the point. Like, you have to look at these people, not just like they're better than you, but like they're infallible. When you look at how they present the news 4 years ago, and you see how much bullshit they would say with straight faces, or, you know, especially if you watch from 2020 during the pandemic, my fucking God, like you actually learn how to dislike the media. You think that you dislike the media enough, but you don't. by the way, you know, the presidential pardon, I actually did think about it. And I don't understand the point for it. There are certain situations where the presidential pardon is actually good. Like, for instance, after the Civil War. Like, you don't want society to be ripped apart. So, like, the presidential pardon was used in order to pardon all of the people on the losing side. But if you look at how the presidential pardon has been used recently, and it's not just Trump, it's not just Biden, it's usually done in order to raise the prestige of the president. So, like, he's going to pardon rappers and famous people just to, like, increase his ratings. And then it's, like, family members and people associated with him. So, like, you know, the left constantly bitches about the Supreme Court decision that whatever the president does while holding office, he can't be trialed for it. But, like, the president can have, like, a right-hand man, which theoretically commits any type of criminal activity that the president wants, and then he pardons them, and there you fucking go. Like, even without that Supreme Court ruling, right? And the only reason that doesn't happen is because people play by the system most of the time. But there are cases, like in my country, there was a president which tried to do the transition between the communist revolution and capitalism. And there were students protesting that the transition wasn't doing well, and he was giving a lot of perks and benefits to people that he surrounded himself with. So, like, the students were protesting for free speech, for liberty, and in order for the government not to seem as they're the ones cracking down on the protests, and back then they didn't have Antifa, they didn't have NGOs, but what they did have was people working the mines. So they called the miners to beat the living shit out of the student protesters. And that's what they did. And after the president finished his term, I think it was like 2 weeks before that, actually, he pardoned the leader of the miners. And you get to see how the presidential pardon can be used in a way to absolve the president of guilt. So, you know, going back to whether or not, like, the presidential pardon should exist, I think it does. But I do think it should be incredibly difficult to implement. I don't know the exact way that it should happen, but there's definitely a conversation to be had there. And these people that work at the multi-billion-dollar mainstream media corporations aren't going to have that conversation. They're not even capable of having the conversation. The only thing that these people are doing is to stir emotions in the public, to make people act irrationally and push an agenda that someone is probably paying so that their company pushes. That's it. It's to make people become hysterical. Nothing more, nothing less. And the moment people understand this, the more they would lose power. But the problem is, like, even though people understand it, even though trust in the media is at an all-time low, when you have a situation like the pandemic or when you have, like, an election cycle, people immediately forget that they shouldn't believe the media and they go back to it. I don't know why. Let me know what you guys think, though. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.